Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are digging into Fleming County Schools' framework for what they call vibrant learning. We're going to transform what can sometimes feel like just educational buzzwords into a really clear architectural plan for student success.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with the foundation, what vibrant learning even is. Then we'll look at the blueprints that guide it, the framework for how it looks in the classroom every day, how you prove it's working, and finally, how you tell the story of all that progress. All right, let's get building.
This idea right here is our starting point, and it's a big one. It completely reframes the goal. We're moving away from just, delivering lessons and checking boxes. Instead, the whole point is to create an environment where learning is alive, it's relevant, and it's actually driven by the students themselves. So what is this foundation of vibrant learning? Well, at its heart, it's about a fundamental shift in the whole classroom vibe, right? It's about moving to a place where genuine curiosity starts to replace just simple compliance. It really is all about empowering students. Think about it. When they get the why behind what they're learning, how it connects to their world, to their future, they develop real ownership. They're not just passive sponges soaking up information anymore. They actually become active creators of their own knowledge.
And what's so clear here is that this isn't just one person's job. It's a total team effort with shared accountability. You've got students taking the reins of their own learning journey. You have teachers designing and guiding that journey. And you have leaders making sure the whole environment, the whole system, is set up so this kind of deep, meaningful learning can actually happen.
Okay, let's move on to our next piece, the blueprint. Any strong building needs a solid blueprint, and in education, that blueprint is all about clarity. Without it, nobody, not the student, not the teacher, really knows what they're building or why it matters.
And this is just a critical step. This isn't about trying to cover every single page of a textbook. No way. It's about getting laser focused on the absolute non-negotiable skills that are going to matter the most for a student's long-term growth and their readiness for whatever comes next.
Now this slide highlights a huge shift in thinking. Instead of grading being some mysterious score that is done to students, things like proficiency scales make it a totally transparent process that's done with them. A scale breaks down a standard into really clear levels, turning a test from a final judgment into basically a roadmap for their own growth.
So here's the bottom line. This blueprint gives everyone a common language for success. It's a language everybody can understand and use. Students know exactly what the target is. Teachers can aim their instruction with incredible precision. And leaders can make sure that this clarity is consistent everywhere, creating real, system-wide accountability.
All right, so we've got a clear blueprint in hand. Now we need a framework for how the day-to-day work of learning actually gets done. And in this system, that framework is called the workshop model.
This four-step rhythm creates this really predictable, but also super flexible structure for every class. The teacher kicks things off with a focused mini lesson, they model a skill, and then, and this is the key part, they release that responsibility to the students during the workshop time for them to actively practice and apply what they've learned. See, this framework turns the classroom into an active, buzzing place. Students are doing, they're not just sitting and listening. Teachers get to differentiate and give that really targeted, in-the-moment feedback. And leaders are there to coach and make sure this powerful approach is happening consistently across the school. Okay, so we've got the foundation, we've got the blueprint, and we've got the daily framework. But how do we actually prove that real, meaningful learning has happened? Well, that's where performance assessments come into play.
This distinction is so important. We're moving beyond just simple recall. It's the difference between knowing a list of facts and being able to use those facts to build an argument or solve a problem. It's all about demonstrating genuine understanding, not just memorization.
So these assessments become the ultimate proof of readiness. Students get to show what they know by actually creating something or solving a complex problem. Teachers get to assess mastery by looking at a rich body of evidence. And leaders champion this whole approach as the true measure of whether a student is really prepared for what's next.
Okay, let's talk about our final pillar, which really ties everything we've discussed together. This is all about how we tell the complete, and more importantly, the accurate story of a student's progress, moving way beyond just a single-letter grade.
So, instead of relying on one test score on one particular day, the story of a student's learning is built from a whole body of work that they produce over time.
This portfolio of evidence, it shows growth, it demonstrates mastery in a bunch of different ways, and it just gives a much richer, more complete picture of what a student is truly capable of.
And this is where something called Standards Reference Grading, or SRG, comes in. It makes grading fundamentally more fair and way more transparent. A grade no longer includes things like points for participation or extra credit for bringing in school supplies. It tells one clear story. What has a student actually learned and mastered according to the standards? That's it.
And when this is working, everyone becomes a partner in telling that story of learning. Students start to see grading as helpful feedback for what to do next, not as some final judgment. Teachers use real evidence to report on learning accurately, and leaders make sure the whole system is reliable and that everyone, especially families, understands why it works this way.
So we've built this entire structure, piece by piece, but it is absolutely crucial to see that these 5 areas, they're not separate initiatives you can pick and choose from. They are designed to lock together to form a single, powerful, and coherent system.
From that core belief in vibrant learning, to the blueprint of clear standards, to the daily framework of the workshop model, the real proof in performance assessments, and finally, the honest story told by grading. Each piece supports all the others, and they're all driving toward the exact same goals: student mastery and genuine readiness for the future.
And at the end of the day, this entire structure, this entire architecture of learning is an answer to this really profound question. It's a challenge, right? A challenge to move beyond the things that are easy to measure and instead focus on what truly, truly matters: authentic, deep, and lasting student growth for whatever comes next in their lives.